Shabby?
Pep Guardiola sends clear title message to Manchester City players ahead of Arsenal, I know. Manchester City have had an indifferent start to the Premier League season, but could turn a corner against Arsenal this weekend. Pep Guardiola has challenged his new crop of Manchester City stars to prove they can be a machine like his previous title-winning sides. The Catalan has won 6 league titles at the Etihad, but City slumped to third last season and have had an indifferent start to this campaign with 2 wins and 2 defeats domestically. There have been signs of promise this week with a 3-0 Manchester derby success followed by a 2-0 win against Napoli. They face a litmus test for their ambitions on Sunday with a trip to face Arsenal at the Emirates. City were beaten 5-1 in North London last season, with Guardiola blaming a disastrous spell when his team fell apart. He hopes those collapses are behind his new look side now, although they were criticised for turning victory into defeat at Brighton 3 weeks ago. The Blues boss knows consistency is the name of the game if they want to win another title. I know my team when it is consistent, he said. When you win 6 Premier Leagues, it is because you are a machine, the consistent team, and for that, you have to prove more. But of course, we arrive for the week against United, against Napoli, and now Arsenal. It is not an easy week. The feeling is important, the vibe of the team, and the body language especially. I am focused on that. The kindness of the team's body language has gone up. I am pretty pleased with that, and hopefully we can win or lose, always try. And when you see the team is in a good vibe, that is what you have to try to do. City equalised at the Emirates after 55 minutes back in February, but conceded again immediately and fell apart, shipping 4 goals in the final 34 minutes. We were a lot of the time pretty good, considering how it was last season. But the last 15 to 20 minutes were a disaster, said Guardiola. We forgot to do what we had to do and everyone did that, and after that it was easy for Arsenal. Hopefully, this season we can make a little bit more challenge because Mikel is an extraordinary manager and they have increased the squad for this across 4 or 5 transfer windows. It is an unbelievable squad and an unbelievable team. It is one of the toughest opponents you can find now in Europe. We try to compete to be a better team than we were last season, especially in the last 20 to 25 minutes. The private Arsenal and Manchester City feuds that have fueled an angry rivalry. Manchester City take on Arsenal in the Premier League this weekend, and their rivalry is still driven by different views within the clubs. Manchester City's rivalry with Arsenal in recent years has been very public and not so pretty. From Erling Haaland barking at Mikel Arteta in the centre circle or bouncing the ball off Gabriel's head, to Miles Lewis-Skelly mocking the Norwegian in the reverse fixture, last season brought a continuation of a coming together between the two clubs that always contains plenty of fire. Haaland's comments, some afters from Bernardo Silva, as well as Kyle Walker, having to be dragged away from Arsenal and former City set-piece coach Nicolas Jova in recent seasons, have actually gone down well at the Emirates. For years on the pitch, there was no rivalry because City just swept Arsenal aside. Now at least the Gunners know they have got under the skin of the Blues. Pep Guardiola's comments will doubtless be welcomed in a similar manner after the City boss joked that should Arsenal win silverware under Arteta, it should be recognised as solely down to their heavy spending, given that is how success is deemed at the Etihad. I want to say to my friend Mikel Arteta, if he wins the title, it will be just because he spent, not because he worked a lot, or his players, he said. Behind the scenes, spending has divided the two clubs for far longer than Guardiola's decade at the club. It was Arsène Wenger who coined the phrase financial doping to slur City and Paris Saint-Germain, with after seeing several of his star players make the move from North London to East Manchester. For all the anger of an Emmanuel Adebayor knee slide, the boardroom loathing festered for much longer. Arsenal resented City for their new money after Sheikh Mansour's takeover, and City hated the hypocrisy of the Bank of England club from that moment, and things have hardly improved since. The Blues did not think much of the conduct of a club in 2019, who followed Mikel Arteta back to Manchester after City thumped Arsenal at the Emirates in order to tempt him away, while the Gunners were one of the clubs who wrote to the Court of Arbitration for Sport in 2020 to try and get City kicked out of the Champions League. Tim Lewis became Arsenal vice-chairman that year, and his leadership has seen Arsenal and City pitch themselves as even more at odds with each other. Coinciding with the teams becoming genuine title rivals, Lewis has been a fierce advocate for financial fair play in line with the thinking in American sports, at a time when City have been charged with serious breaches of Premier League rules spanning more than a decade. On the other hand, City proved at a tribunal that associated party transaction rules rushed through by the Premier League and its members weren't fit for purpose, and in doing so opened the can of worms that shareholder loans were not fair market value. With Arsenal having more than £250 million of money that way, it could have had tough repercussions for the Gunners. A recent settlement with the Premier League defused that bomb, and the shock departure of Lewis announced this week may further reduce tensions in the same way that Jurgen Klopp leaving Liverpool did. As long as there are two ownerships with fundamentally different views on what the Premier League should look like, though, what goes on in the boardrooms will always be an intriguing backdrop to any fireworks on the pitch between City and Arsenal. Rodri argument can be settled in box office Manchester City versus Arsenal battle. Rodri will be a key figure for Manchester City against Arsenal, and he will need to win the battle against Spain, teammate Martin Zubimendi. When Rodri went off injured at half-time of the Euro 2024 final, it could have been something of a turning point. The Manchester City midfielder didn't emerge for the second period of that game with England, and the reaction on these shores was that whoever was replacing him was never going to fill that void. But Spain has a habit of producing these kinds of players, and Martin Zubimendi used those 45 minutes in Berlin to announce himself to the world stage. A few weeks later, Liverpool tried to sign him. Real Madrid and Barcelona were linked, and eventually he joined Arsenal. Mikel Arteta had to wait a year to get his man, but the fact Arsenal's sights never veered from the 26-year-old tells you all you need to know about how importantly they view him. When it comes to holding midfielders, Spain don't just have the best in the world, they have the second best as well, a point made by their coach, Luis de la Fuente, not long after his side won Euro 2024. We're lucky enough to have brought on, in my opinion, the second best player in the world in that position, and that's Martin Zubimendi, he said. He's another great footballer, with some of those same qualities that I like in Rodri. He's like his clone. Of course, Martin has little nuances that make him him, but he can also balance out the game, find spaces, find solutions, and get back to defend the box. I'm very lucky to have the two best players in the world in that position at my disposal. The question now is, in which order are they numbers 1 and 2? In that final 15 months ago, it was clear Rodri stood at the top of the podium, something repeated quite literally when he won the Ballon d'Or last year. By then, he had already suffered the anterior cruciate ligament injury that would write most of last season off. He is back now, but this isn't the real Rodri. He is still finding his feet and his trust in his body. It's not out of the question that he doesn't even start for City at Arsenal on Sunday. But if he does, this is a chance for the 29-year-old to re-establish supremacy. In his time out of action, Zubimendi has taken a grip on that role in the national team, which is something Rodri touched on earlier this month. He's a great player. He has the discipline and mentality that can lead him to become one of the best, if he isn't already, Rodri said. I spoke to him the other day and told him it was his time, that I was leaving him the keys to the team. In World Cup qualifiers in Bulgaria and Turkey, Zubimendi started, and Rodri replaced him after 62 minutes in Sofia and 73 minutes in Konya. Rodri had played 90 minutes for City at Brighton before that international break, and then started again for the Blues against Manchester United last weekend. It's far too early to write the City man off, however. It might feel like Spain is becoming Zubimendi's team for now, but Rodri has time to change the narrative and win his place back for the World Cup next summer. Pep Guardiola has said City will continue to be patient with Rodri. On Wednesday, he felt uncomfortable in training, and he asked to come off after an hour of the Champions League win against Napoli on Thursday. A late call will be made on his availability at Arsenal, but even a not fully fit Rodri would feel like a better option than Nico Gonzalez. That's not to talk down City's £50 million midfielder, but rather to point out just how big a difference Rodri makes. If he does start, then his duel with Zubimendi could be box office. Every Arsenal game is a physical examination these days, and that is one area where Rodri has the upper hand. If he can control the centre of the pitch and lay a platform for a City win, it will feel like a big day in the title race, but it could also feel like a big day for the Spain midfield. Manchester City stars have already noticed Gianluigi Donnarumma difference. Manchester City keeper Gianluigi Donnarumma has kept clean sheets in his opening 2 games for his new club. Gianluigi Donnarumma has not been at Manchester City for a fortnight yet, but has already made a big impact. That can be seen on the pitch, where he made an excellent save in an accomplished debut against Manchester United to avoid more derby despair for Blues. That was followed by an impressive press conference before the Napoli game, where his response to the fan-pleasing celebrations he had given against United was a call for unity among the team. He wants to celebrate every goal that is scored and wants every goal that he keeps out to be recognised in return. Donnarumma also had something of an inside track on Napoli, the city nearest to where he was born, and a squad containing some Italy internationals, and pledged to tell his new teammates in the dressing room anything he could to help them win. Another performance free of drama came in a 2-0 win for City on Thursday night. It hasn't taken long for the rest of the squad to be as impressed as everyone else is by Donnarumma. Speaking after the Napoli game, Nico O'Reilly praised his leadership qualities. He's had a massive impact. He's such a big character within the team, within the changing room, said O'Reilly. He's come and I feel like we've all welcomed him well. And, yeah, he's a leader, which we need in the team. We have quite a young team, a lot of new players. I feel like he's fit in very well, and obviously he's a great goalkeeper. After the United win, Rodri and Bernardo Silva, 2 City captains who boast plenty of experience at the highest level, suggested that his presence gives confidence